Hey, this is Miss Cooper here. We are at week material 8 or chapter 8, and we have our document. This week we're going to be looking at World War I and some of the effects, the causes and the effects of this war, the different approaches, and basically the end of the war, the treaty. Whenever you're going to describe a war, you want to talk about three things. You want to talk about who's fighting, why are they fighting, and who won. Sometimes it's not spelled out who wins, so you have to look at the treaty. Look for the treaty. Or perhaps there might be an armistice agreement, which means a ceasefire. But in this situation, there is a treaty. When you look at the treaty, then you can determine who was the winner and who might have been the loser or losers. So I'm going to go ahead and read and summarize. The first part of this document talks about the causes of World War I. It lists 4 causes: nationalism, imperialism, militarism, and alliances. Those are 4 things that were causes, okay? And under nationalism, it says this is a system of nation states led to competition, as each state was guided by self-interest, and most leaders saw war as an acceptable way to preserve power. A power struggle. Nationalism, getting on sides, and I'm better than you, and my country's better than yours, and competition. Imperialism, we've been talking about this for quite some time. The competition for lands abroad, especially in Africa, led to conflict and heightened the existing rivalries among European states. Competition, who's going to get this over there, who's going to get that over there, I want this, I want it. Yeah. Militarism, which probably means what it sounds like, military. Okay, so this is, most Western countries had a military draft. A draft, another word for that is conscription, which means we're going to make you go to this war. It was called conscription before 1914. Armies were growing, as was the influence of military leaders. Here comes the dictators. They're coming. We don't see the rise of the dictators literally until after this war, but this is laying the groundwork, because remember, there was World War I and there's World War II. So we will get back to that at a later date. The fourth part here is alliances. An alliance is like a friendship. It's like a partnership. So it says here, Europe's great powers have been divided into 2 loose political alliances. Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy formed the Triple Alliance in 1882, and France, Great Britain, and Russia created the Triple Entente in 1907. So them against them. Okay, 2 sides. Here we go. Point of view is definitely a standard that we try to discuss. So we want to look at what's the point of view on the side of the Triple Entente. What's the point of view on the side of the Triple Alliance? What are the goals? What are they going to do? What do they want to do? How do these alliances contribute to the cause of World War I? The second one is different approaches to war. So the Western Front and an Eastern Front. 2 points of view, 2 ways to look at how we're going to handle this war, how we're going to get in it, are we going to get in it, and what we're going to do while we're in it. So the Germans and the French became stuck in trench warfare on the Western Front. When neither could dislodge each other from the trenches, they dug for shelter. So this is creating a situation in the situation. We're here, we're fighting, and we really don't know if we're going to die. So trench warfare became a strategy, which meant you dug yourself in until they finish shooting or until you can get up. And yes, on the Eastern Front, more movement on the Eastern Front resulted in the Germans defeating the Russians, which allowed them to move back to the offensive in the West. So that's not good. They're not, they're not progressing. Okay, the Germans defeated the Russians. Remember, the Russians were on the side of the Triple Entente. The Germans were on the side of the Triple Entente was the Germans. Let's go back to it so I'm not saying it wrong. Russia, Great Britain, and France, that's the Triple Entente. Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Italy are the Triple Alliance. Okay? So the last part of this paper, the Treaty of Versailles, very important. This is what ends the war, supposedly. The final peace settlement of Paris consisted of 5 separate treaties with defeated nations. So they made a treaty with each one of these nations that lost. The Treaty of Versailles with Germany was by far the most important. The Germans were unhappy with several parts of the settlement, but they accepted the treaty. So here's what they were mad about. Let's listen to it. It says the so-called war guilt clause, declared that Germany and Austria were responsible for starting the war. It required that Germany pay financial compensation for all damages that Allied governments and their people sustained as a result of the war. Germany had to reduce its army to 100,000 men, cut back its navy, and eliminate its air force. Alsace-Lorraine, taken by the Germans from France in 1871, were returned. Sections of eastern Germany were awarded to a new Polish state. Poland becomes a state, just pops up. German land along the Rhine River became a demilitarized zone, stripped of all weapons and fortifications. So pretty much Germany couldn't have a bullet. Pretty much Germany couldn't have an army. Pretty much German territory got split up and given to everybody and everything else. And they were not happy about this treaty. Okay, so we're going to end right there. Please make sure you pay close attention. Hopefully you took your facts and follow all instructions. Thank you.